Hi, this is Grandpa Butler. Since September 2021, at the request of my grandchildren and any of the rest of you who may have ever been a grandchild, we've been doing watercolor crayons drawings with ink, where we did the sketch first, and then we would color in the main object here, and then quickly do some background and maybe some go back and do highlights on our main sketch here. This is going to be a picture from the Arches National Park. It's a beautiful arch here. There's a short trail to it. And what I'm doing is I'm taking some ultramarine blue here, and I'm just doing sketches of the sky the way I'm picturing it in the from a photograph here. So I'm picturing these basic blues with sort of white stratus clouds going in layers out like here from a more or less common point over here, let's say. And so what I'm doing is showing you how we can put some crayons down. So let's get our watercolor pen here, brush, and start doing it. What we're going to do here is we're going to do the edges first and generally dissolve the crayons like so as we work our way across around the pencil sketch of here is the basic arch right here, and then this is a walkway going up, and this will be some shrubs. So you can see I've gone through here and highlighted, just got some water here on my brush and put it through here, and I've got a little bit of white gouache, whatever it's pronounced. It's that opaque kind of watercolor material. And I'm just touching up a few spots where I think there might be maybe indications of kinds of clouds. And along the edges here, trying to make those edges not quite so strong. So that's basically a cloud part of our drawing right here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the arch. And what I've done is I put a few highlights of yellow where the sun seems to hit it. And then the lighter lines going horizontally as the seas and whatever deposited different colors here. It's quite beautiful in southern Utah in the arches to see these out west Nevada, some places in Colorado, these kinds of magical paintings made by nature here. And then what we've got is those horizontal marks I made already. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add some vertical marks here, and then we'll touch them up with our brush here. So we're going to have the sun coming in from the right. And so Grandpa's just going to go up and down with these other marks, and when he paints he's going to get out his water and get these wet. He's going to go up and down with the same stroke motion. You can see Grandpa's got out some English red here to just make a few more kind of shadowy marks. I sort of plan to bring out some blues and do those later on, and if this red doesn't highlight those shading enough, I'm certainly planning to do that. But I thought in the meantime we could bring these colors out here. So here there's shadows on these walls over here. Put those in. Put little lines where there's little sunlit shadow overhangs there. So we've just gone up and down here and a little bit across with red, so we're going to dip our brush now. I'm working left to right. A little bit too much there. You can see how they kind of fun, how the colors kind of mix together. I don't think we want to stroke them too much. We want to leave some of the pigment behind that we put down in the course of our drawing here. So more, in this case, as in most cases with these watercolor crayons, Grandpa likes to dab the water in there, get the colors kind of together, mix them, and work that way from lighter colors to darker colors usually, and from left to right. And dip the brush in frequently and just have a lot of fun. All these paintings, every single one, have had some original aspect to them. Obviously Grandpa's not a professional artist and just doing this to have fun. My granddaughter said, you know, it may be useful for people for you to point out that you have neuropathy. And despite that, it's kind of, we can do some fun things. So, yes, my hands shake a fair amount. And, but I don't see, that doesn't figure in to any of my artwork once I get engaged in it. I don't know if it disappears or if I just don't even bother thinking about it anymore, or both. So there's kind of our hill with the arch. So coming down now, I've got some more English red. I've outlined a few of the strokes I see in the landscape just to remind me to do something about it. I'm going to use this ochre here, kind of yellow color, to put strokes in here as where the land goes, and this cinnamon to put some variety in the ground as it comes down the trail here. So ochre up here, cinnamon, and I just decided to use this other color too, which is raw sienna. Beautiful color. So let's just draw those in and see how it goes. Now you can see that I'm drawing with my crayons here, the ochre crayons. I'm going to, in the next stage, put in some greens here, but I'm going to light up my ground here before then. I'm going to put in some, that's supposed to represent an old fallen tree here on the trail, and there's some dead wood in amongst the live trees here. But I'm going to put color up all of this brown stuff before I put in the green, which is going to be kind of my final things. I'm going to use ochre across here for the trail. These are stone stairs that the Park Service put in to make it more comfortable and to keep the people kind of walking in one area. All of the park people I've ever known have been very conscientious and lovely people. We're going to put a bunch of people down here. In fact, let's put a stone in here. No people, but stones, objects. And because here and there are a few stones out here. And even some stacked stones, which this may be right here and there. And we'll color them last with the trees. So now that I have those to work around, let me come put in some more ground here. And again, I'm sort of drawing ground is sort of horizontal, so I'm drawing with horizontal. When it comes up on a hillside, I slope my strokes. It's not always the case, but I almost always intend to leave some of the pigment of the watercolor crayons behind as kind of a marker. Now this is going to look artificial, maybe I shouldn't follow the photograph so much, but in fact it is kind of this interesting broad area here where people can walk up here. So let's get our watercolor crayons out and just lighten that up, suppose. This is just us finishing here. There seems ambiguity in the colors going up here where the steps are. That's because there actually is some ambiguity in the nature of the things here. I am here again trying to get rid of all the pigment coming down here because I want some of it to represent, of course, the way the land flows here. And the next thing we have to do is put in, besides these green things, put in some other green things. Okay, what did I do with the other pen? Cool. Instantly lost it. Put it back in here. I'm not sure I ever took it out of there. Okay, where's my 8? Okay, so there's, I've got my pen out. I'm going to use moss green for the sagebrushy parts. So that's this kind of color here. It's kind of in the desert, it's kind of a green, sometimes gray, green gray, light yellow kind of color that jumps up frequently. And so I'm going to represent that kind of mossy sagebrush green with this moss green color in my hand. So that's one kind of green we're going to light up here in a second. And that's most of the stuff here in the distance and just off the trail are that. On the other hand, there's some place where water can collect a little bit more, and that's marked with these brighter green small cedar trees here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a light green and a green and a dark green there for those. sun's coming in from the right, so I'm going to put some light green here and on the tip showing in the sunshine there and the top of these. And this is a different kind of vegetation. And then next, what we're going to do is we're going to put some more circular strokes here to indicate the foliage, and then we'll fill that in with the strokes of our pencil. But so this is foliage here, the main thing that's growing here, and these trees, cedar trees along here, and then for sort of the center of the trees where there's shade and dark, and underneath them we're going to put this darker green here. And you don't want to be too systematic, right? You want to be a little bit wild and random, I think, or Grandpa does. And when Grandma starts putting up her series on how to do it, she'll have it the right way, or maybe your neighbor will do it. This is the way Grandpa thinks about and works. And then through the arch here, there's a little bit of green here and there growing, and we'll just put that in there. Okay. And so the arch follows the greenery up here that way. So we'll lighten that up. Again, working left to right. And then we'll do stones, and that will be kind of the last thing. What we have left is this tree here. I haven't exactly been kind to it. And it's been sort of a temporal anomaly till we solidify its existence here with a few strokes. Maybe bring in that, and that might be enough for those. So, okay. Now the greens, maybe draw a little bit along there. Bottom, better not to work from the bottom, so let me dip that. Better work from lighter greens to the darker greens, I think, as a general rule. But you can see how robust the watercolor crayon's transformation is when we dab it and don't get too much water on our brush. I highly recommend frequently dabbing and then getting some strokes in there. So I don't think we're doing sagebrush any great kindness with the way we've rendered them, but I'm not sure how we can do that. There are amazing things. So the last thing we're going to do, touch this up here. Again, you get these strokes in the way that follows the landscape here. Two more things we get in is shadows, and we're going to get in the rocks. So the rocks I've done with this other slightly different shade of ochre here and the crimson color, and then I put a little bit of this crimson here and there to indicate maybe more rocks up here. But here's the ones that we've drawn in. And as we dab in place, you can see it kind of, there's a magical transformation there for us. On cue. Of course, they'll demand a raise in their salaries here when they're done with this. If it turns out that it was successful, but you have to deal with these things in life, right? Sort of supply and demand issues. Okay, shadows. So I've gotten this Prussian blue out here, and not only next to the hiker and stuff, you can see I put some of that Prussian blue here in the shadowy parts of our arch, and then occasional highlights where there's more shade here around our objects here. And I don't want to overdo it, but Grandpa does like to experiment. That's why these things are so odd, his artworks. But have a good time. So I hope you are having a good time with the way you do your art as well. Okay, so we've got that kind of highlight. We have this hiker here, and his shadow, his bushes, rocks here. Now, if we were being sophisticated, we would maybe take some of the paint out of the middle of the shadows, a lighter area. But I don't think we want to spend the time doing that today. We're of getting all this in. So here's our little shadow of our tree branch sticking out here. End of another branch there. Hint of shadow there and there. And so the one thing, so looking at it, I think it's okay. I think if we put a little bit more darker crimson in the corners, it might pull it down a little better. Let's try that. Okay, so what Grandpa's done is he's just got a little bit of crimson. Did a few strokes here and there around the corners. And now he's going to stroke it down to the corner edge here on this side. And to give it sort of a multicolored, darker looks, especially in the corners here. We'll go on the other side, and you can see Grandpa put a little bit of pigment here. Maybe we can use that to highlight the upper part of our rock here, and then stroke that back in place there. And leave the shadows. Yeah, it looks like enough fun for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having fun in all things you do, including the art that you try. Take care. Bye-bye.